This is the lecture for reading a regular 16 scale ruler. So down here on the bottom I just have a regular 16 scale ruler, and from this one all I have done is I've zoomed in on from 0 to 1 so that we could look at the individual marks a little easier. So if this is 0 and this is 1 inch over here, all we've done is we've taken that and divided it into 16ths of an inch. That's why we have the 16 right here. So that first mark is a 16th of an inch. And I'm just going to write that in. And each mark along here is a 16th of an inch. So as I write these in, 2 16ths, 3 16ths, and I would encourage you to do the same on your sheet of paper. Whoop, a little heavy on the lead. As I get to the middle, notice it is 8 16ths, and that should just be 1/2, and it is. So 9 16ths, 10 16ths, and I just count all the way through. Oops, 16ths. And we end up with 16 16ths. As I go to the next line up, I notice that it's a 2 16ths, and I notice that I can reduce that fraction. So if I reduce that, I have eighths. So now my next row is eighths. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8 again is a half, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So I come to the next row and I see that I have 2/8, which I can reduce down to 1/4. So that means my next line is fourths. So I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. As I come to the middle of my ruler again, I can reduce that 2/4 into 1/2, 1/2, and then obviously I have 1/1 right there. So that's all the fractions on my ruler from 0 to 1. Now let's talk about decimals. I want you to know the decimals for these particular fractions. Let's start with the easy one. The one in the middle is 0.5. Half of 0.5 is 1/4. We know that right there. And the decimal for 1/4 or 1/4 is 0.25. Let's go the other way to 3/4. If I have 3/4, I have 75 cents, so 0.75. Now we have the tricky ones, the eighths. Let's start with 1/8. 1/8 is 0.125, which is half of 0.25. If I take that 0.125 and add it to the 0.25, I get 3/8, which is 0.375. If I take that 1/8 and add it to 0.5, I get 5/8, which is 0.625. If I take that 1/8 and add it to 0.75, that gives me 7/8, which is 0.875. So there's our eighths. I only want you to know 1/16. I don't care about the rest of the 16ths, but you should know what 1/16 is in a decimal. And that decimal is 0.0625. So with that information on our decimals and our fractions up here, I want you to come down to the bottom of the ruler and let's take some time and make sure that we understand how to read a regular ruler. So go ahead and hit the pause button right now, and we'll come back a second and check these. I'm going to go ahead and put these in. That arrow is right there, so it is 1 and 1/16. As I move across, I'm just going to do the upper ones first. I can see 2, and that point right there is right before the 3, so the mark before the 3 is 2 and 15/16. As I come across, there's 4 and 2 marks. I look up here at the 2 mark, that's 1/8. So 4 and 1/8. The 5, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th mark right there is a 4th. So 5 and 1/4. 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little tiny one. It's an odd number, so I know it's a 16th. So it's 6 and 5/16. The next one, 7, and I know that's a half, and 2 marks past the half is a 5/8. So 7 and 5/8. Let's go down to the bottom, and it looks like it's one mark past, or one little line past the half. One line past the half is 9/16. So it's 1, there's a half, and it's halfway between the half and the 2, so that looks like a 3/4. So 1 and 3/4. 3, and there's a half plus 2. There's a half plus 2 is 5/8. 3 and 5/8. 5, and it looks like it's right and a half, so 5 and a half. 8, so there's the 8, and there's a 4th. It looks like it's 2 marks past the 4th, so 4th plus 2 marks is 3/8, so 8 and 3/8. And that's how we read a regular ruler.